Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Whenever you hear a word from my mouth, you shall give them warning from me. If I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him no warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, in order to save his life, that wicked person shall die for his iniquity. But his blood I will require at your hand. But if you warn the wicked, and he does not turn from his wickedness or from his wicked way, he shall die for his iniquity. But you will have delivered your soul. Again, if a righteous person turns from his righteousness and commits injustice, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you have not warned him, he shall die for his sin, and his righteous deeds that he has done shall not be remembered. But his blood I will require at your hand. But if you warn the righteous person not to sin, and he does not sin, he shall surely live, because he took warning, and you will have delivered your soul. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore do not associate with them. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true. And try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Expose them. Expose them. Expose them.
Mitä sä teet? Mitä sä teet nyt?
Lopeta.
Ei juonut, kun sieltä ei tullut mitään.
Mä näin, että sä joit. Sä nytkin juot. Älä tankkaa sitä, sä oksennat. Älä tankkaa sitä, sä oksennat. Nyt istut alas. Ja rauhoitut. Me makuulle. Me makuulle.
Mä en pysty hengittämään, koska mulla ei ole tarpeeksi nesteitä.
Tuossa lauseessa ei ole mitään järkeä, ymmärrätkö? Sä hengität ihan hyvin. Nesteen kanssa ei ole mitään tekemistä.
Mä tarvin nesteitä
ei, kun sä nyt
sen
makaat.
takia,
sä
koska mä
joit.
pystyn hengittämään.
Sä just joit. Istu alas ja... Tai siis me makuulle, kun sun pitää nukkua. Kello on niin paljon. Sun pitää nukkua.
Anna
nyt
mulle
lopetat. Nyt lopetat. Sun pitää nukkua.
Anna mulle sen, mä tarvin nesteitä.
Sä oot sekaisin, ymmärrätkö?
Enkä oo.
Sä et oo nyt oma itses. Sulla on annettu huumeita, ymmärrätkö?
Eikä oo annettu.
On. Niin nyt...
Eikä oo annettu.
Ymmärrätkö? Nyt oot hiljaa. Ja menet istumaan sinne. Sä et oo oma itses. Nyt menet istumaan sinne.
Mä tarvin vettä.
Et, kun sä just sait.
Mä en saanut mitään.
Sä oksennat, kun sä tankkaat sitä.
Mä tarvin vettä.
Sä oksensit jo tänään, kun sä tankkasit sitä. Nyt lopetat.
Mä tarvin sitä
sä
vettä.
Just äsken joit. Nyt sä menet nukkumaan. Kello on jo niin paljon.
Enkä mene, kun mä tarvin nesteitä.
Sun pitää mennä nukkumaan. Ymmärrätkö? Sun pitää mennä
Mä tarvin nesteitä, kun mä en pysy hengissä muuten. Mä kuolen tähän.
Sä oot juonut koko päivän vettä. Just sen takia, koska täällä huumataan sun. Meet makaamaan. Sä et oo oma itses nytten, ymmärrätkö? Sä et oo
Anna
oma
mulle
itses.
vettä.
Me istumaan. Nyt rauhoitut.
Anna mulle vettä, kun mä en pysy hengissä muuten.
Rauhoitut. Sä et oo oma itses nyt tän.
Kun mä en pysy hengissä, kun mulla ei ole nesteitä ollenkaan kropassa.
Rauhoitus.
Anna tänne se nyt.
Sä oot juonut koko ajan. Nyt rauhoitut, älä huuda. Sä just joit.
Anna tänne
Sä
se.
just joit. Sä just
Anna
joit.
tänne se.
Sä just joit. Lopeta me istumaan. Me istumaan. Sun pitää mennä nukkumaan. Ymmärrätkö? Sä et oo oma itses nytten.
Mä tarvin nesteitä, kun
Sä
mä
et
en
oo
pysy
oma
hengissä muuten, kun mulla on nenäkin niin kuiva, että mä en pysy hengittää, kun ei ole vettä ollenkaan
koko
kropassa.
päivän juonut.
Enkä oo.
Nyt me istumaan. Ja sun pitää mennä nukkumaan. Etkö sä voi huutaa, nyt on yö. Mut kun sä et ymmärrä mitään.
Anna mulle se vettä.
Sä otat yhden huikan sitten ja sä menet nukkumaan sitten, ymmärrätkö? Me istumaan. Etkä tankkaa, koska sä oksennat. Sä oksensit jo tänään, koska sä tankkasit sitä. Mitä mä sanoin? Älä tankkaa sitä.
Eihän mulla tullut mitään, kun suu vaan kuivuu.
Sä just joit. Nyt meet makuulle.
En mä pysy hengissä.
Nyt meet makuulle. Hei, lopeta. Sä et oo oma itses nyt. Ymmärrätkö? Sä et oo oma itses.
Anna tänne se, kun mä en pysy hengissä muuten.
Hiljaa, meet nyt istumaan. Tule tänne näin nyt istumaan. Sä et oo oma itses. Istu alas.
Mulla ei ole tarpeeksi nesteitä kehossa.
Istu alas.
Anna tänne se nyt, kun mä
Istu
tarvin
alas.
nesteitä.
Sä et oo oma
Mä tarvin
itses.
nesteitä.
Sä et oo oma itses. Sä oot ihan sekasin, ymmärrätkö?
Mä tarvin nesteitä, kun mä kuolen siihen, kun mulla ei ole tarpeeksi nesteitä.
Sä oot juonut koko päivän, mä sanoin. Sä oot juonut vettä koko päivän.
Anna tänne
Sä
se.
oot juonut koko päivän vettä ja sä et voi tankata, kun sä oksennat.
Anna tänne se.
Sä et voi juoda ja tankkaa tolla tavalla vettä, kun sä oksennat. Sä oksensit jo tänään. Sä oksensit
Anna nyt
jo
tänne
tänään.
se, kun mä tarvin nesteitä. Mä tarvin nesteitä siihen, että mä pystyn hengittämään.
Meet nukkumaan. Tuossa lauseessa ei ole mitään järkeä. Ymmärrätkö?
Tarviinhan.
Istu alas. Tarviinhan. Tossakaan ei ollut mitään järkeä. Istu alas. Istu alas.
Mitä sä teet mulle?
Mä en tee sulle mitään.
Teethän.
Mä yritän auttaa, koska mä yritän saada sut selväksi.
Mä en pysy hengissä, kun mä en saa tarpeeksi nesteitä, kun mun suukin kuivuu.
Sua huumataan. Sen takia sä oot noin sekaisin.
Anna tänne se nyt.
Istu alas. Istu alas.
Anna tänne se, kun mä tarvin nesteitä.
Istu alas.
Anna tänne, kun mä tarvin nesteitä.
Hiljaa.
Kun mulla ei pysty hengittämään, kun mulla ei ole tarpeeksi nesteitä.
Sun pitää nukkua.
Mä kuivun ihan
Sun pitää nukkua.
sen takia, kun mulla ei ole tarpeeksi nesteitä.
Sun
Mä
pitää
en pysty
nukkua.
hengittämään.
Sun pitää nukkua.
En mä pysty nukkuu, kun mä en pysty hengittämään.
Sun pitää nukkua. Sun pitää rauhoittua.
Anna tänne se.
Sun pitää nyt rauhoittua.
Anna tänne se, kun mä tarvin nesteitä.
Sattuu. Älä raadi.
Mä tarvin nesteitä. Mä tarvin nesteitä.
Noniin, nyt sä joit jo. Älä tankkaa. Mä sanoin, sä et voi tankata. Sä oksennat. Sitten ymmärrä, kun mä suojelen sua.
Et sä suojele vaan. Sä tapaat mut.
And what happened next, you may wonder? Well, good that you ask. My mom ended up in hospital. I had to call an ambulance to her because her face completely on the left side, no, on the right side, went completely like paralyzed. No movement or anything. It was really creepy looking, and she became completely unresponsive. No reactions or anything. It was terrible. So I called an ambulance, and you can see and hear already from the video that it was quite noisy. She wasn't, the silent with those moments with the drug stuff, what they planted on her. So when the ambulance men came in, they were more silent than me and my mother trying to get my mother to sleep and be silent. Then, as you can see from the video, also my mom and dad don't sleep in the same bed. So then he came from downstairs to upstairs and like, oh, I heard that something was going on in here, and I don't have absolutely no idea what's going on in here, but I just heard something. So suddenly you hear something what is not that loud at all, what exactly before earlier has been going on upstairs with the all this idiotic thing. And the thing what you see from the picture, it takes around 30 minutes. You can even try faster if you want, but if you're in a hurry. But it takes 30 minutes to drive to the hospital. And for my dad, it took over 2 hours. So it just makes you wonder what happened. Between those hours, then, if it's or if you are you concerned or not at all, or are you just cleaning something there in the home? I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about that.
This is exactly how I found my mother many, many times. Just standing somewhere in the middle of the floor and being in a sleep in a way.
Anything else for you, baby?
Not quite normal, isn't it? And I don't think that that's really anything to do with the bipolar. Mind you, that I also was in a serious relationship living together with a person who had a bipolar, and he never acted like this. And I was with him 6-7 years. Quite amazing, huh?
Bag it. You're trying. Yes, I am.
Does this look to you the same as the other video? Or does this look to you bipolar?
It's said that when you're high on methamphetamine, you feel like you are the king. At the moment, you may feel like a king, but it has a severe effect over a long time. When you're on methamphetamine, you feel energized and confident. But what happens is that methamphetamine kills glial cells in your brain. These glial cells are part of the brain which allows you to plan, think clearly, and make a decision.
Signs that somebody is high on meth. What are the warning signs that somebody's high on meth? And this is not to diagnose anybody. This is to protect yourself. I am a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. Those were my drugs of choices. And yes, meth every now and then did slip into it. It was not my drug of choice, but because you snort cocaine, guess what? A lot of people do snort meth. But here's a couple signs if somebody's actually high on meth, because people don't realize sometimes that what's wrong with somebody. They see somebody and how they're acting, but what drug are they on? And is this maybe meth or is this maybe not? Who knows? Here are signs that if somebody is high on meth. If you're high on meth, one, your pupils are going to get dilated. And you're going to notice that people that are high on meth have very dilated pupils and they're going to be looking around. So your vision is all over. And it's almost like you become hyper-focused and you become this overwhelming sense of paranoia and almost hallucinations. That's one of the reasons that you kind of almost get those hallucinations and that paranoia is because it's like you see so much more than what you had before. So you'll see these people constantly like looking around and there's a lot of jerking movement because anything that's off in the distance on the sides that's moving, your eyes are now jerking to it. You'll notice that there's an elevated heart rate and temperature. And how do you really know if their heart rate and temperature is elevated? They're going to be sweating. They're sweating. And they're sweating when the AC is on. They're sweating everywhere. And they're also going to be a lot of out of breath. It's going to sound like they're constantly running and no, I'm doing good. And that's because their heart rate is just going at 1,000,000 miles a minute. You're also going to see it grinding of teeth. You end up getting dry mouth when you're high on meth. And one of the things is you get like this locked jaw. And so those sitting there grinding their teeth, out of breath, looking all over the place. I mean, it looks like somebody is literally like, what the hell is wrong with you? Well, odds are they're probably high on meth or on amphetamine of some sort. They're very alert and they're very physically active too. So they're alert to all the sounds, all the movement because of these dilated pupils. And you almost get hyper-focused on different tasks because it does freak you out to a sense. So they'll find one task and they will all of a sudden just focus on it. And a lot of people actually do cleaning because they'll notice something and they become obsessed almost with having to remove this one spot or clean this one area. But it's a physical activity that kind of gets their body moving and it almost masks what they're going through and that high that they're experiencing. They're never going to be hungry. That's why you see a lot of people that do struggle with meth addiction. They're going to be very skinny because you're not going to eat. Amphetamines just do not give you that hunger at all. And the other one is you're going to see big mood swings and outbursts. You can't regulate your emotions. So somebody's high and low, they're not bipolar, none of that's going on. If you see all these combined and their outbursts are there and they get very angry and paranoid, odds are they're probably on meth. And I mean, meth is a common drug that a lot of people use. When somebody starts using meth, you don't notice right away that they are actually using meth.
Kuten näette raportista, niin missään kohtaa ei lue mistään huumetestistä tai mistään tuloksista huumetestistä, vaan automaattisesti vedotaan taas bipolaarisuuteen ynnä muuhun sellaiseen. Mutta hauskin, lainausmerkeissä hauskin juttu tässä on se, että minä ainakin 3 kertaan olen eri paikassa vaatinut sitä. Ensin ambulanssissa. Voitteko ottaa huumetestin? Ei koskaan otettu. En ole saanut siitä mitään. Ensiavussa. Voitteko ottaa huumetestin? En ole koskaan saanut siitäkään mitään tietoa, eikä kukaan halunnut sitä sitten ottaa. Ja 3. kerran sitten lääkärin kanssa sen yli 2 tunnin jälkeen, kun isäni ilmestyi sitten sairaalaan, niin kyselin hänen nenän edessään lääkäriltä, että onko otettu. Ja hän änkytti mulle, että ei ole tuloksia vielä tullut. Ja kummankin silmät oli niin kuin kauhusta jäykkänä, niin kuin myös isäni. Mutta tuloksia en ole tähän päivään saakka vieläkään saanut mistään. Et kummallisesti ne on niin kuin jossakin. Vaikka lääkäri silloin jo puhui siihen tyyliin, että ei ole vielä tullut. Tietoisia siis olivat asiasta. Eriskummallista.
Okay, I have to do this now here. As I'm just a little bit at least alone now when it's nighttime and it's silence also, because there's never silence. So I try to do this because they are all the time everywhere. When I was a child, I was abused by my cousin, which is funny because he's also younger than me, so it's a little bit crazy. And I believe that it's now the other way, that he's saying that I did abuse him, because there's every kind of these kind of spider webs now when I think about stuff from my past. Because while I was living in Norway and I was in a relationship with the robot again, now there's someone already. Try to talk about these kind of things now then, you know? Seriously. So, I believe it was like a 2006 or something. He made a really weird phone call to me, and I had not been in contact with him, I don't know, for many years, because everything went a little bit weird when his dad died. So my mother's brother, which was actually really dear to me, but then also my grandma died, so we kind of lost contact in a way. And then also I did move to Norway, so I didn't go so often to Estonia or things like that. But anyway, the thing was that I believe I have been 4 or 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years old. So think about that. He has been even younger when it started, and it was like a play, you know, playing. And I didn't understand that what that was, and I didn't understand that was wrong. In the later on in years, I did understand that was wrong, and that happened with him till I was 15. And because every time when I saw him, then, you know, there was something weird sexual going on. And because of that, I've been also an abuser. And it's really hard to say completely in what age, but I think like around 8 or something. And I have been playing around. And now, as I have been the abuser, as a child, not as an adult or anything. So this is why this is the craziest thing ever. Because I don't know. Like, it's so hard to explain about this also, because it was completely like shuddered to me also, because when I got pregnant, I suddenly did remember all these things. And at the same time as I was pregnant to that kind of guy who had his own problems in past with, I don't know, some kind of abuse. So, and then there was every kind of other kind of mental and, you know, narcissistic abuse towards me. But the reason behind it with him was in a way that he was abused. So I did start to get into all that kind of information, and while I was searching that information, then I did woke up and realized what had happened to me as a child. And now, or already then, I have never been like angry in that way to my abuser, because I understand that he was a child. So obviously something had happened to him before that, because he didn't understand what he was doing, because he was a child. But it's really weird that when it's me, and me as a abused child doing the things what has done to me, then now I am some kind of sicko, and there's a people hunting me and all these weird kids things and stuff like that, because of that I have done something to them when I was a child, and I haven't understood that, what I have done, because I didn't understand that what I was doing. And it's really hard to try to explain to people, because you don't, you know, you're slow in the head. You're slow. Your brain is not the same age as other in that situation or stuff. It's really hard to, I've been growing up weirdly. And yeah. So because I have been playing around when I was 8 years old with some other people, now because of that I'm sick in the head. And then also the one who has been abusing me from 5 to 15. That's also my fault. And I'm now sick in the head, and there's people running around in it everywhere, and pumping at me with the children, and that means something, that I'm running towards children. And that's just their people vengeance towards me. And it's from my dad's side, the whole family. There's 7 sisters altogether, like my dad and his brothers and sisters. And then their children, which some of them are the ones that I did play with. And they want to kill me, they want to kill my mom. And then they have to make up every kind of shit stories also because of that. What has happened when everyone has been children. I've never hurt anyone when I have been an adult, and I have had, I understand stuff. It's crazy. It's really hard for me to talk about this also and try to explain these things, because the situation is really weird also. I don't have any privacy or any, because, no, there's person. So try to act normal then, and try to bring this information to everyone. But what I wanted to say, that I got pregnant and then I woke up to this thing because of my boyfriend at the time, who I was pregnant for. And then I was at the same time under huge mental torture and narcissistic abuse. What I think exactly also was planned to break me. And that was the point also, to try to break me, and then already then to kill me. But so I have been pregnant, so why I don't have a child then? So that makes me now emotional, because of all those people, I'm sick in the head, so I shouldn't have any babies or children. So when you are in that huge mental torture and living in that kind of hell 24/7 at home, he got manipulated me to go and make a portion. So I made a portion. So now someone can say then that how can someone else, take that control away from you? Yes, they can. And I'm not gonna talk anymore about that. So I'm gonna leave it to that. And that's basically that. And I'm gonna keep on going to another parts in the video.
When I'm abusing my partner, one of my favorite things to do is to give her the silent treatment. When I know that she's anxious and that she's desperate to speak to me, and all she wants is the validation of knowing I'm there, that I still care, or finding out where I am or who I'm with, I find it productive, if I want to induce as much anxiety and distress in her as I possibly can, to go completely silent and to give her nothing at all. In that empty space, all of her worst fears can be manifested as her imagination takes over and all of her fears begin to just completely eat her alive. Silent treatment is an excellent form of narcissistic abuse and control, precisely because it induces such a large amount of distress in the victim, in the target, with very little effort. The next thing I like to do, triangulation. So there's me, there's her, and then there's a third party that I can bring in. If I can induce dread or fear in her by making her paranoid that there's another girl who is taking my attention or filling up that space, that's a good way of inducing jealousy, which she will then hate herself for, so that's handy. And also the terror the abandonment terror in her that I'm going to leave her or that I'm going to cheat on her. I'm going to somehow desecrate the sanctity of our relationship. The other thing I can do by introducing a third person into the scenario is suggesting that there are other people judging her, other people who agree with me that her perspective is the wrong perspective. And then she starts to get this sense that she's besieged by enemies. It's not just me, there's now a collective growing of people that believe that her perspective is wrong and that my perspective is the right perspective. This is a good way of driving somebody crazy slowly over time and of convincing them that their perception of the situation is wrong no matter what the situation is and no matter what their perceptions are. Gaslighting is one of these terms that has entered the culture now and everybody uses it. And so you would think that this is something that maybe can't be in the narcissist's toolbox anymore because everybody knows what you're doing. But there's so much confusion around gaslighting and people are gaslighting each other about gaslighting. Gaslighting does not mean just lying. Lying is good, lying is a useful tool, but this is worse. Gaslighting specifically refers to the movie, or movies, plural, Gaslight, where the guy in the movie was going around the house and changing the lighting in the house, moving it up and down, and then telling his wife that he wasn't changing the lights up and down, that her perception was what was wrong. So lying is akin to gaslighting, but gaslighting is next level. You want to convince the target that their perception of reality is wrong. That's the point of gaslighting, that their perception of reality is faulty and broken, and that they're actually going crazy. If you need to use lying to achieve that end, then go ahead and use lying to achieve that end. But lying itself, in and of itself, is not gaslighting. Gaslighting means you're slowly, over time, altering that person's perception of reality so that they cease to trust themselves. Reactive abuse is one of my all-time favorites because after reactive abuse, the target really starts to hate themselves and really starts to feel a huge amount of regret and guilt, and it just softens all their boundaries. It really dissolves their capacity to say no and to refuse me and to refuse my evil deeds as evil. Reactive abuse is where I do something to provoke the target. I find out what her weak spots are, what her vulnerabilities, her sensitivities are. I deliberately push those buttons. I deliberately provoke her into some sort of explosive outburst, which anybody, any human being over time will respond with an explosive outburst given enough passive aggression, slights and little digs here and there and triggering of their vulnerabilities. Once she's had the outburst, I've got it. That's reactive abuse. Then all I have to do is focus on her outrageous outburst. Maybe she will scream at me and become angry. And then I'll say, my God, you're such an angry person. Maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe she will start crying and have a breakdown and become very sad and upset. And I'll say, my God, you're so weak. What is wrong with you? I barely did anything and look at you. And then I'll treat her with contempt and disgust. And I'll really focus on the ugliness and the inappropriateness and the hostility of her response. If it's a woman, I would say probably you want to really focus in on an angry and jealous response, because women don't like to think of themselves as being jealous. They really don't like that. Some women really don't like to think of themselves as being weak, but most women, it's the jealousy thing you can get her on. It's so ugly to be jealous, and it's so ugly and unfeminine to be angry. With a man, if you can provoke a response of sadness, then you can say to him, oh my God, what kind of a man are you? Look at you, you're so weak, you're such a pussy. What do? You're crying now? What is wrong with you? If you can induce anger in a man, you can go, oh my God, I can't believe, you're such a bully, you're terrifying me, this is awful. Are you one of those violent, awful men, just like your father? That's another nice thing to layer in there. If they have an issue with their mother or their father, bring that up. If she's jealous and she has an outburst, you'll be like, oh, look at you, you're jealous, just like your horrible mother that you don't like. If he has an angry outburst, you'll be like, oh my God, look at you, you're such a bully and a tyrant and a psychopath, just like your father. This is a really good way of further triggering all of their insecurities from their past and really doing as much emotional damage as possible with very, very little effort. Reactive abuse, it's beautiful. All of these things can be layered in with passive aggression. Generally speaking, I wouldn't advocate for active aggression because active aggression can be called out. If you're actively aggressive, they can screenshot that and show their friends and show somebody outside of the cult of one, outside of the shared fantasy space, maybe a therapist or some sort of a mentor who can then help them to escape the situation. So be very, very careful and very judicious in using active aggression. Passive aggression is much more powerful because it's harder to call out and it's easier to deny. Some things can be written via text in a tone that is passive aggressive, that if you're called out on it and you say, look what it says here, if you read it out loud but change your inflection, it can sound completely innocent. So it's much easier to worm your way out of passive aggression if you're ever called out for it. Active aggression, that's kind of hard to say, you know, that's not bullying, it's not a deliberate and open provocation. So be passive aggressive as much as you possibly can. The other great thing with passive aggression is if you use it long enough, over a long enough timeline, it becomes a kind of reactive abuse that's likely to induce one of our wonderful outbursts that we can exploit. So use passive aggression, not active aggression, in your texts as much as you can. Hey folks, I hope that you enjoyed this theatrical display of evil. Remember that any and all communication with a narcissist is an opportunity to abuse and exploit. If you can reduce contact, reduce it as much as you can. If they're texting you, then when you text back, text less words. Don't engage. Abandon sincere communication when you're communicating with the insincere. Don't give them an authentic emotional response. Don't give them any real information. Grey rock is the best way. No contact is the best thing to do, but it's not always practical. So if you're in a shared parenting situation, shared custody situation, we would usually advocate for more of a grey rock type of thing, where you want to be so dull and so boring and so on mission with whatever the facts are, whatever you need from them. You need money from them, you need to show up to a court, you need them to pick the kids up on time. Keep it dull, keep it non-responsive, don't give them any oxygen. Your emotional pain, your emotional reactions are the oxygen that they feed from. So keep it bland, and as much as possible, reduce that contact. Don't play the game the way that they want you to play it. If you want more information about coming out of a narcissistically abusive relationship, we have the Unplug from the Matrix of Narcissistic Abuse course. It's available from richardgrannon.com.
In Finland we have this magazine called Seitsemän päivää. It's a 7 days magazine, that's what it means. And well, the main character on the cover here is exactly one of the siblings who is making the magazine, which is really funny with everything now. Also about our house, and well, you just read it. What does it read in there? It's my father's name is Erkki, and what does it say in German ways? You know, it's not funny at all. Because it's exactly truth. It's exactly how it is. It's joke about Jewish Auschwitz place, and that's exactly what they are doing in my parents' house or were doing still to my mom, obviously because she's there, but were doing to me and my mother every kind of sick stuff. So yeah, it's really funny Nazi jokes, so I guess I don't have nothing much more to say about that either, except that the same main character, it's once again this really weird coincidence, as these keeps on happening here all the time, that in one point I was ordering something to my mom from online or from internet, and when you order, then you get to choose which post box you want to go and pick it up. So then it shows you a map from the area where you are. So, because the map sees where you are. So it's very interesting that the dot there in the map, what shows where you are at right this moment while you are doing those things, goes exactly to the address where the main character again from that magazine is exactly living. And to that, I also have something to say, that I have only been there in my whole life, only, I guess, 3 times. And I think those years were also before 2020. So it's really weird. Why would it show my phone to be there right at the moment while I'm doing the order to my mother, while we are completely on the other place in the same map though? But it's really funny coincidence, isn't it? Or not? I don't know.
Tällaista ei täällä aiemmin ollut. Uunin säännökset on kaikki nollilla. Ja valo palaa, kun laitetaan päälle. Täällä ei ole ikinä palannut lamppu, kun se on ollut nollilla. Kummasti nytten täällä on ihmeellisesti jotain päällä, kun se on nollalla. On se kumma juttu, ei vaan aikaisemmin ollut.
I'm Dr. Jeff Kelshevsky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, the term narcissist is thrown around a lot these days, and you'll hear a lot of people talk about my ex is a narcissist, and sometimes you'll hear people talk about the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. To be questioned, is President Trump a narcissistic personality disorder? Do certain celebrities have narcissistic personality disorder? And it seems that lately there's been a lot of murder cases that are getting a lot of media attention, where there's talk about how the murderer is a narcissist. Now, we were just discussing this recently when I was on the podcast Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, about how many of these cases that we discuss on her show where there are narcissistic types that are accused of murder. Now, on the podcast, I actually mentioned, boy, I should do a YouTube video on this, narcissistic personalities and murder, and that's what I'm doing today. Now, does having narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic personality characteristics put you at higher risk to be a murderer? Well, let's spend some time talking about what we mean by narcissistic personality. So, a lot of time when we talk about and think about narcissistic personality, we think about this notion of self-love and that the person is in love with themselves. Now, this happens in females, but for our discussion today, we're going to focus on males, because according to the research, narcissistic personality disorder is more prevalent in males, and males commit more murders than females. But from a clinical perspective, narcissistic personality is much more than just this idea of self-love. Narcissistic personality disorders are not really, it's not really based on this idea of this strong self-love. It is more that this person is in love with the idealized, grandiose image of themselves. And the theory is that this is developed at a young age to help cover feelings of insecurity. You may see more frequency of developing narcissistic personality disorder if there's a lot of emotional and verbal abuse in childhood, for example. So, trying to keep up and protect this idealized, grandiose image of oneself takes a lot of work. and this involves attitudes that frequently manifest in dysfunctional behaviors. Now, individuals with narcissistic personalities often hold these attitudes of grandiosity. I'm special and different from others. I'm smarter. I'm amazing. People are lucky to have me around. They often feel that they're unique and that they deserve a higher social status, or they deserve to be around people of higher social status. With narcissistic personality, there's also this preoccupation with and fantasies of success and power. These people exaggerate or hold an exaggerated perception of their accomplishments and their attributes. Now, narcissists require excessive admiration from others. They want to be the center of attention. They feel like they deserve to be showered with praise and admiration from others. Narcissistic personality disorders tend to be interpersonally exploitive. They'll use people to meet their own needs. Many times they're only focused on their own needs. And oftentimes they don't even recognize the needs of others. They tend to be extremely self-centered, and they tend to lack empathy. Narcissistic personality disorders are also easily envious of others, and they often feel threatened when others are successful or others are getting the attention that they feel they deserve. Narcissistic personalities also tend to be arrogant and domineering. They feel entitled. They feel they deserve to be recognized and treated special by others. Again, narcissistic personalities are very dependent on external sources of validation that fits with their dysfunctional attitudes I just described above. Now, when this external validation is not met, that's when these people in their life are not behaving towards them in ways that fit with the dysfunctional attitudes and schemas I described before, they may act out. They may act out in ways that can involve aggression, violence, or even murder. Now, when narcissistic personality characteristics are intense and pervasive, and they cause difficulty in one's life across different settings, they can meet the threshold for what we call narcissistic personality disorder. So, the research that looked at narcissistic personality disorder and violence indicates that most people with narcissistic personality disorder are not violent. And now, personality disorders tend to be quite good at more subtle manipulation, and personality disorders are also very good at collecting people that fit with their pathology or quickly casting those aside who don't. Now, the research also shows that narcissistic personality disorder does present with a higher risk for violence as compared to people who do not have narcissistic personality disorder. And when there's antisocial personality disorder or antisocial personality characteristics in the mix, and these could be like anti-authoritarian attitudes, frequent use of deceit, pervasive aggression, irresponsibility, these antisocial features, this increases the risk for violence immensely. This type of person with that combination of narcissistic features and antisocial features is often called a malignant narcissist in the research. Now, obviously, if we have some psychopathy present, this person does not connect human to human with others like most people, they're a psychopath, that obviously is a recipe for a higher risk for violence as well. But a lot of the murder cases we see covered in true crime media, and most of the cases that I've been asked to talk about on podcasts or television or true crime YouTube channels, are not murderers who are malignant narcissists. These are not antisocial types. Many of them are not psychopaths. Now, these narcissistic personalities frequently that we talk about in the murder cases, oftentimes they are accused of murdering a spouse or a partner, right? Now, how many stories or programs have you seen, or how many high-profile cases have you read about that are about a narcissistic husband who's accused of murdering his wife? Now, I've seen a lot of people with narcissistic personalities who've been violent, and I've seen quite a few people with narcissistic personalities who were murderers. And obviously, I've talked a lot about these cases on media outlets. So what's going on here? Why do narcissists murder? So here's what I've seen. So like I said before, keeping this interpersonal world full of people that support and fall in with your narcissistic dysfunctional thought schemas and give you external validation can be a lot of work. And narcissists are often fragile in the sense that when this high level of external validation is not there, they're unhappy, very unhappy. They depend on this for their own psychological and emotional sustenance. Now, when someone in their collection of people falls away from the purpose, providing that external validation, the narcissist sort of has a psychological panic. And that panic often leads to aggressiveness. Now, when other attempts at manipulation or even using some aggressiveness does not work in getting this person back in line, the narcissist does not know what to do, and they may resort to extreme behavior, sometimes even murder. The narcissists that I have seen who have murdered often feel trapped. They're trapped in a relationship where the other person is not giving them the external validation they need or feel they deserve. But also in the narcissist mind, there's a threat to all the other external sources of validation as well. So we see a lot of murder cases of the narcissist who murders his wife, for example, while going through a divorce. Well, I can tell you, it's almost always seems to happen that the wife is the one who filed for divorce. Or when we see the narcissist who murders his wife when they're not separated or going through a divorce. Oftentimes he simply does not know how to get out of this situation without losing external validation, particularly that system of external validation that may be built in to that lifestyle of being married or who he's married to. Now, if you notice, when there's a murder and there's accusations that the husband is the murderer and he's a narcissist, they tend to jump up and sort of thrive from the sympathy and attention that they get from others. They're the first ones in front of the camera playing it up. Now, it's really interesting to talk to a narcissist who murders. They're frequently surprised they got caught. They frequently think they can outsmart the police, but they can't. They tend to make arrogant mistakes. In some cases, the mistakes they make are outright foolish, and then they tell BS stories to try to cover themselves. Remarkable and sometimes foolish stories that they just expect that everyone would believe because it's coming from them. So it's the fragility of the narcissist and the threat to his entire system of external validation coming down that often puts them into this psychological panic and a state where they sort of feel like they have to resort to extreme behaviors, sometimes even murder.
Somebody know me better. I thought that I would miss her more, but I wake up and I feel better. Cause I let somebody go. We've been going on forever. There's no more crying on the floor. And she said it's now or never. So I let somebody go. Ooh. I let somebody go. Ooh. Somebody go. Ooh. And I let somebody know me better. I thought that I would miss her more, but I wake up and I feel better. Cause I let somebody go. We've been going on forever. There's no more crying on the floor. And she said it's now somebody go. Ooh. I let somebody, let somebody, let somebody go. Ooh. Yeah. I let somebody, let somebody, let somebody go. Ooh.
A lot of times I was sweating. I was profusely sweating. I was on edge. There was a lot of times when I'd be up for so many days and hours that if I actually finally slept, if I woke up, I could either be in very bad spirits and very good spirits. A lot of things to look for when it comes to a meth user is what does their body weight look like? A lot of times when people are doing methamphetamine, whether it's intravenously by shooting it or by snorting a lot of it, they will lose weight dramatically. I'm talking to the point where they look somewhat anorexic, there's no appetite, they will go days and days without eating, they're fully malnourished, and then obviously sleep deprived. There's just no interest to try to get any kind of nutritional, strengths out of eating. Like nobody really eats when they're on meth, depending. Like some people, when you smoke meth in excess, you can actually eat and sleep even at times too. So I think that just comes from building up the tolerance, and the potency is not as strong when you're smoking it as opposed to when you're shooting it intravenously or snorting it, because that's directly into your system as opposed to smoking it, which takes a little bit longer to actually feel, but not that long. So was getting into a lot of car accidents, because if I was up for days and days and days, the second I would get into the car and start driving, I would lose energy, and I would end up just passing out behind the wheel. So often I would get into car accidents, major car accidents sometimes fender benders, sometimes crashing into parked cars. Sometimes crashing into other things, sometimes thinking I was about to crash and there was really nothing there. The mind will play tricks on you, definitely. Like when you're up for many, many days and you're sleep deprived, your imagination is constantly going in many different directions. There's so many thoughts, and there's a lot of paranoia and things like that. So definitely behind the wheel, it was complete danger. And then, when it comes to meth detoxification, there's going to be a lot of rest that will be needed. There's going to be a lot of nutritional needs. A person will need to eat and drink a lot of water to stay hydrated. When I say there's a lot of sleep that's going to be needed, is because a person that stays up on meth for long periods of time loses sleep. So usually the crash for that, when they actually go to get detoxified, will be anywhere from 24, 48, 72 hours, even longer. I myself, when I went into rehab, coming off of meth after doing it for 16 years, I slept a good 6 days solid. There's a few times I got up to use the restroom, a few times I got up to eat something, but for the most part, I needed to crash. I needed to crash. And a person that's actively using meth, you can see that with them. If they're up for days and days and days, they'll crash super, super hard, and then they will be down for the count for at least 24 good hours, and then they get back up and they're out seeking it again.
Hey, Dr. Calarco, what does meth do to a person's body over time?
So meth itself, and also like a lot of the toxic substances that it's made with, are really hard on the body. And so, things, you get chronic sores on your skin, a lot of tooth decay and tooth loss, obviously like mood swings, insomnia, anxiety, and in severe cases, you can get psychosis and hallucinations, things of that nature. And when you look at people's brains who have done meth for a long time, you can see actually structural changes, not good changes either, in the brain. Fortunately, though, when people become sober, over time, a lot of those things will all improve.
I come from a really creative family. I've been used to being around creativity all my life. My mom is really artistic. Well, obviously she's been in art schools and stuff like that, but before she moved to Finland, she was working actually in Tallinn film, and it was called Nukkuteater. That's like a doll movies, what they make. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired, so it doesn't come so quickly, all the words now. But yeah, so she was working there, and then she moved to Finland, and then she went to kindergarten, and there also all the name things and everything what they had there. She always did draw really nice stuff on the walls and name tags for the kids and etc. Every kind of really cool things. And I don't have any pictures now anymore. She had some pictures, but obviously I'm now here in Germany, and I don't get into those. But I got some other pictures because she also has made some other things, so I did put them here so you see them. But then she had to, in the end, quit the job in the kindergarten, and she got depressed, which is not any surprise anymore. But then that was that, and she didn't work anymore. And then she got better in some point, and tried to, look for a new way, and look for new works and stuff. It was never anything like that she wouldn't want to work, but when you are in a narcissistic world inside, it really gets you. Oh boy, it gets you. I know that. And I went through that in the relationship really harshly. And that was also a wake-up call, because then I did wake up also to that my whole life has been in that. And that's so absurd to me also. I always know that it's been crazy, my home life. But I don't know how I have been so blind that I haven't seen and realized that my dad is completely narcissistic, but that's what it is.
People who use the phrase, "it is what it is," they are fucking dangerous, because they don't allow anything outside of their control to affect them. They've mastered the art of acceptance, and if you try to manipulate them or threaten in any way to leave them, you know what? They don't give a fuck. They do not care. You could walk out of their life and they'll open the damn door for you. And the best part, if someone asks them if they're okay because you left them, they'll just use that magical phrase, "it is what it is."
So, yeah, then she went to school, and design school, and then that also was really bad, because then obviously he got scared that she's doing well soon, and etc., and every kind of those kind of things. And then he started to mock her that she's not any good and not doing well, or anything like that. And that's why I obviously took a video from the Facebook page, from the school page, because if she's not good and she's not doing well, then the school is not gonna go and put on their wall and put the pictures and show like, hey, look at here some cool stuff from one of the students, you know. So every kind of those kind of mind games again, and did even spoil some of the works also. But I don't have any pictures of those now anymore or anything. But so in the end, she didn't become then, you know, designer either. So here we are. His problem solved. But that's what I'm saying. It's not easy. But yeah. It's always been really creative. Even my grandma, she was an art teacher and also hand, I don't know how you say it, käsityöopettaja. Have to say in Finnish and then translate later. You know, neulontaa ja kaikkea tämmöistä. So, you know, it's been always there, and it's really, really sad to see that she don't have any creativity at all anymore in her life. She doesn't do anything anymore. Absolutely nothing. No drawing, nothing. It's really, really sad. This one was yet again one of the weirdest coincidences again in in my life or in the family situations. I went to completely with some other stuff to check with the Maistrati, and then I just, you know, noticed that there isn't anything about my mom. It's only my dad's information there. So I started to wonder, what is this? Because there's supposed to be both, obviously. So then I started to check more into it and try to get info and try to get hold on someone about it, and no one didn't really want to do anything about it, and no one didn't really know anything about it. But the funniest thing was that no one didn't really want to do anything about it. So only the last lady then who took it on her project and made it happen really fast when she took it on her heart and started to check what's going on. I had many phone calls with her also. Really lovely lady. I'm still obviously really thankful for her, because obviously caring person. And yeah, I think this was also a really crazy thing again, and it's again coincidence. But I do have something to say about this though, because this is exactly the point, that if my mom is not my mom, then I don't have any right of anything. And I'm not just talking about money rights or anything like that. I'm also talking about that if something happens and stuff like that, because I am not then anything to her. So I don't have any power to say anything. Example, if something happens, like hospital-wise, like we have already seen here, that already has happened. So if someone, example, wants to just plug the plugs, then they can, and I don't have anything to say about that. So all those kind of things went through my mind on that times also, and that wasn't funny. That is all. One more thing I have to say. because this is a really big thing, what is in family all the time. Like example, there's a huge thing that, yeah, big, really beautiful house. I couldn't care less, but it's a big thing, and it's a really big thing to my father. And it's never our house, it's never their house, it's always his house. And it always comes with the point to make with the point that it's his house. Also, even into that he gives his permission to me be in his house, like when I was there. But obviously he couldn't, just throw me out when mom was a little bit soberish. So he had to try to manipulate, though, that couldn't she just go home already, and does she have to be here all the time? In really angry way, though, and it's really hard to try to explain anything anymore, like what way it went, but it went really manipulative way, what he tried.
You are a thing, and they are a person. There is only one person. They are the Alpha, they are the Omega, they are all that is, that has been, and ever will be. This is a godlike condition of delusional grandeur. They are all that exist. You are not a person. You are a thing. You are an object. You are there to be used. They don't instrumentalize you. You showed up as an instrument. You showed up as an object, as a tool to be used. You either have a purpose that suits them, or you do not exist.